Welcome to part 5 of Let's Play Portal of Evil. At the end of the last part I just released all the birds. Now I'm going to turn to paragraph 5. Okay, you continue along the path which takes you higher into the hills. There is a cool breeze, and very few trees rise out of the scrubby hillside vegetation. You look down to your right where the forest stretches away into the distance. Closer, at the foot of the slopes, you can see clearings in the woodland, some of them containing hamlets or single huts. The path divides into two. One branch continues uphill, and you think that you can hear the sounds of fighting in that direction. If you take this path, turn to 319. The other runs downhill back into the forest. If you take this path, turn to 144. We're going to take the uphill branch, so 319. I think that's the one we need. Yeah. The uphill path rounds a bend, and you are looking at the scene of a battle. The next hill, a little higher than its neighbours, has been raised higher still by the addition of an artificial mound on its summit. The mound itself is crowned with an enormous statue of a ferociously ugly being which you recognise as a goblin deity. The 8-armed statue, seated but in a warlike pose, glitters in the sunlight as if its surface were covered with gems. The mound has doorways near its base, and is evidently the home of a tribe of goblins. They are on the hillside, defending their home against a band of troglodytes. These attackers are like no creatures you have seen before, and you suspect that they may come from the same source as the long-extinct reptilian animals you have been encountering. Clearly they live underground, as their skin and hair are colourless, and their huge blank eyes are not accustomed to sunlight. They walk upright and use spiked clubs, but they are not truly humanoid. Their legs are scaly and terminating claws like a bird's, while their heads have bony crests. They are bigger than the goblins, and they are winning the battle. Will you wait where you are until the fighting is over, or will you advance towards the fray? We're going to wait. 161. Actually, I just forgot to show you the picture there. I will just show you that. Yeah, there's the picture of the battle. So where are we going? 161. You crouch behind a boulder and watch as the tide of battle ebbs and flows. The goblins make a heroic stand round the circumference of their hilltop settlement, but finally they are all slain, and the surviving troglodytes disappear through the small doorways into the interior of the warren. Silence returns. On top of the mound, inside which the troglodytes are presumably rampaging and looting, the grotesque statue sparkles. Attracted by the thought of glittering gemstones, you continue along the path and up the hillside towards the goblin's mound. You are approaching one of the rough doorways that lead into the darkness of the goblin's warren. Will you enter it, or will you pass it by and climb across the top of the mound towards the base of the statue? We're going to climb on the top, I think. So, 103. The statue of the goblin god towers above you, and you are now able to see that the brilliant scintillation has nothing to do with the jewels. There are thousands of pieces of reflective glass embedded all over the surface of the statue. Pieces of mirror litter the ground at your feet. If you want to, you can pick one up and put it in your backpack. We will do, although I think we already have a mirror. Yeah, we have the hand mirror we got earlier, but I'll take this one as well. You hear a noise and turn to see two goblin warriors tiptoeing from behind the statue. They see you at the same time, but before you or they can act, a wild howling fills the air as the troglodytes emerge from within the mound and begin to climb towards the statue. Like the goblins, you move back to the base of the statue to wait the troglodytes' assault. Turn to 203. Ten troglodytes have survived the earlier battle and are now converging on the hilltop statue to finish off the two remaining goblins, and you. You stand alongside the goblins in the shadow of their god's idol. Its staring eyes and its 8 outstretched arms do not deter the troglodytes, although they are troubled by the flashes of light reflected from the mirrors all over its body. You are certain, however, that this alone will not be enough to even the odds. It looks as though this could be your last fight, unless you have Gloaton's dwarven hunting horn. If you have it, turn to 120. If not, turn to 392. We do have it, so 120. You pull the hunting horn from your backpack, fill your lungs with air, and put the horn to your lips. The troglodytes recoil as a strident blare fills the skies, echoing back from the mountains and rolling across the roof of the forest. As it fades, the troglodytes recover their courage and move in for the kill, but you can see dots circling in the blue distance above you, like specks of dust in a ray of sunlight. And as you parry the clubs of the first attackers to reach you, the eagles arrive, plummeting like stones from unimaginable heights, spreading their vast wings at the last second with discordant shrieks as their talons sink into the troglodyte's flesh. Feathers and flashing eyes and cruel beaks surround the troglodytes, who try to fight back and then flee. Meanwhile, the biggest of the eagles hovers above you, and you throw your arms round its claws. It carries you up, past the appalling face of the goblin god. As you fly past, you see the stone eyes move. Her voice in your head is offering you thanks, and as you feel extra strength surge through your sword arm, you know that the statue has rewarded you for your help in protecting it. Add 1 point to your initial skill. So that's not to our current skill, it's just to our initial, so we haven't put our skill up to 11, it's just the initial is at 11. So our skill at the moment is still 10. I think that's how it works anyway. The eagle swoops down to the hillside path and you jump to the ground, shouting your gratitude. You retrace your steps downhill and enter the forest. Turn to 144. 144, and there's the battle taking place. Right, 144. Coming down from the hillside, you plunge into the dark shadows of the trees, and you struggle southwards through the undergrowth, deeper into the forest. Somewhere in this wilderness lurks the evil power that you seek, the power that transforms ordinary beings into shriveled, faceless, mindless slaves, the power that summons obsolete monsters from ages past. You suspect that the evil has been awakened by the delving of the gold-hungry miners, and you worry that you have missed the correct mine, that you have already travelled too far. However, the paths that you are now crossing still run from east to west, and you assume that there are still mines to be found to the east. You resolve to continue that way in the morning, but now it is dusk, and you have found a clearing in which to sleep. Your eye is caught by a nearby tree that towers above the rest of the forest. As you watch, you see lights appear among the branches. When you look down again, you find yourself surrounded by slender, green-clothed bowmen. They are wood elves, and they are notching arrows to their bows. Will you run, or will you talk to them? We are going to talk to them. 42. This should be the one. There they are, they're the elves and their queen. Standing in the middle of a circle of taut bows, you ask the wood elves what they want of you, but they remain silent. You are not afraid. Wood elves are not usually unfriendly to humans. Another band of elves enters the clearing, and you realize from her bearing and her costume that the leader is the queen of the tribe. You bow as she approaches. She is stern and unsmiling and asks you your business. You explain that you are searching for the source of the evil that has arisen in the forest. Then we can help you, she says. You should travel east and up into the mountains, but tomorrow we will escort you there. Tonight you must rest with us. You thank her for her kind offer and accept it. In fact, you have little choice, as a dozen arrows are still aimed at you. Forgive our suspicions, adds the queen. These days it is hard to know whom to trust. The elves form a marching column, with you at its centre, and move off into the forest. You are walking along woodland paths, but the trees seem misty, and your footsteps are muffled. If you have a potion of true seeing, turn to 335. If not, turn to 217. We do have one. I think the wizard gave us one. 335. Yeah, potion of true seeing, and there's the hunting horn as well. The elves make no move to stop you as you reach into your backpack and find the phial of potion. You drink the bitter liquid, look around, and almost fall to your death as you stagger with shock. The narrow path along which the elves' column marches is indeed winding between the forest trees, but the path is a magical silvery ribbon that snakes upwards through the tree-tops towards the upper branches of the tall tree, with lights in its branches. For a few moments you are lost in the wonder and beauty of the scene, then you turn to the elf behind you and stifle a gasp of horror and fear. The appearance of the elves is an illusion. The potion allows you to see them as they really are, thin, pallid, ragged travesties of elves with blank eyes and mechanical movements, each wearing a shadow-shrouded stone talisman round his neck. They are all slave warriors, but you cannot escape now. The jump to the forest floor would mean your death. You must pretend that you are still deceived by their illusion, and escape at the first opportunity. Turn to 217. The narrow path passes a wooden hut. The marching column halts, and the elf queen opens the hut's door and invites you to enter. Rest here tonight, she says, and tomorrow some of my elves will take you to your destination. You enter the hut, and the door closes behind you. There is just one windowless room containing only a straw mattress on which you sit. You can eat a meal from your provisions at this point, and restore up to 4 points of stamina. I don't need to. There seems nothing to do in the darkness but go to sleep and await the morning. If you do this, turn to 376. If you want to leave the hut and explore your surroundings, turn to 177. 177 then, I'm going to do that. You approach the door and the voice says, "Don't touch." You step back as the voice continues. Don't be alarmed, I'm not actually a talking door. I'm an elven enchantment, and I just sort of hover around the door and keep it locked from the inside. I'll open it if you say the right number. You ask what the right number is. I can't tell you that, says the voice. I'm not allowed to say any numbers at all, just in case. But life's been very dull since all the elves were turned into slave warriors, so I'll give you a clue. If numbers were letters, my number would be in left, but not in little soft felt elf. Is that any help? I'm afraid you only get one chance to say the right number. If you want to try to unlock the door this way, make a note of this paragraph number so that you can return here if your guess is wrong. Then turn to the number that you think will unlock the door. If you guess wrong, return to this paragraph. You have to find another way out of this prison. With some difficulty, you pull up a couple of floorboards. You peer down into the darkness, then recoil as you realize that you can see branches weaving in the breeze far below you. This hut is in the highest limbs of the elves' tree home. You must try to climb down. A length of rope would be very useful if you have one. Turn to 91. If you do not have any rope, turn to 309. We do have rope, but I'm going to try and guess the number. Okay, the riddle here is, if numbers were letters, my number would be in left, but not in little soft felt elf. Okay, numbers were letters. The obvious thing to do is A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, etc. So, the clue here is my numbers would be in left. So, left. L-E-F-T. Now, the clue that you want to, what you want to think is that it's in. You have to think literally. So my number would be in left. So E-F is in the word left. It's inside the word. So E-F. That is 5 and 6. Now he also says the number is not in little soft felt elf. Now if you notice E and F, that combination of E and F, E then F, isn't in the word little, isn't in the word soft, isn't in the word felt, or in elf, even though those letters do occur in those words, especially in elf and in felt, but they're not in that order. So the clue is EF, so that corresponds to 5 and 6. Now that can either mean 11, 5 add 6, or it could mean 5, 6, 56. Unfortunately, you have to use luck here. Well, a little bit of luck. You can think about it and think that if you were adding them all up, that would probably be too much. I mean, all the numbers in here, but really it's either 11 or 56, and you have to guess. As it happens, it is 56, so I'm going to go to 56, but that's how you work it out. But you need a little bit of luck. It's a difficult puzzle. Luckily, it isn't the only way out of it. If you do have a rope, which you should have one, then you should be able to get out of here with the rope, but you won't be able to do something else, which you can only do by going to 56. So let's go to 56. It's a difficult puzzle, that one. You have spoken the correct number. Very good, well done. I will just say that when I first did this, I didn't know how to do the puzzle. I actually had to go through the whole book and painstakingly go through each paragraph to find the correct paragraph. And then I realised what number they were looking for, which is 56. And then I sort of worked backwards to try and work out the puzzle. But that's how you work it out. Anyway, you have spoken the correct number. Very good, well done, says the enchanted door as you open it and step onto a thick branch. Clinging to twigs as you realise that you are in the topmost branches of the elves' tree home, you make your way to a narrow, rickety stairway that slopes downwards, criss-crossing from branch to branch. As you climb down it, you pass openings in the massive trunk and wooden buildings set among the branches, and you can see that all the elves have been turned into slave warriors, and are silent and motionless. They do not hear you pass, and your staircase ends on one of the tree's broad lower limbs. You hear a groan, and you decide to investigate. Turn to 249. You walk along the broad limb until you reach the centre of the tree. The trunk is as wide as a house, and there is a cleft in the bark that is big enough to squeeze through. You look inside. It is a sentry post, and the groan came from a young elf, apparently in the throes of a nightmare while asleep on duty. His facial features look like those of a normal elf, and his clothes are still quite clean and tidy. You assume that he has only recently been impressed into the ranks of the slave warriors. As you expect, he wears a stone talisman round his neck. He seems to be struggling to pull it off as he dreams. Behind him, a staircase carved out of the interior of the trunk winds downwards. Would you tiptoe past the sleeping guard and go down the stairs? Turn to 19. Or would you try to remove the talisman from round the guard's neck? Turn to 313. We're going to remove it. 313. As gently as you can, you take hold of the talisman's leather cord and pull it over the head of the sleeping elf. He cries out once, and then his body slumps. You fear that he is dead. After you shake him, however, he wakes suddenly and starts back as he catches sight of the talisman hanging on its cord. He snatches it from your hand and dashes it to the floor. He takes a deep breath and then says, "1,000 thanks, my friend. Just in time. You have saved me from perpetual slavery, an existence worse than any death. All my tribe are lost, subject to the tyrant warlord and that dread portal below the earth. I must warn the humans in Klein Castle. Our queen plans to continue the illusion spell that conceals the true nature of the wood elves. She will march the entire tribe to meet the free humans, as if in friendship, and then at the warlord's bidding the wood elves will strike. Follow me. There is another sentry at the foot of these stairs. He will suspect me less than you." You follow the elf down through the darkness. When you emerge from the bottom of the tree into the open forest, you find an elven slave warrior lying senseless on the leaf-strewn ground. The elf you saved has disappeared towards Klein Castle, and you decide to do likewise, but in the opposite direction. Turn to 150. You run across the clear ground that surrounds the elves' towering tree home and plunge into dense undergrowth. You turn to look back and are appalled to see that the entire wood elf tribe is on the move. An endless line of ragged, mindless slaves, some leading bizarre reptilian creatures, emerges from between the roots of the great tree. The queen, at the head of the column, turns and gestures with her fingers, suddenly surrounded by a misty illumination. The wood elves are restored to a more normal appearance. Then the queen leads the column north-westwards towards Klein Castle. By the time they have all gone, the forest birds are announcing the approach of dawn. You are ravenous. Eat a meal from your provisions or lose 4 points from your stamina. Let's do that now. Where's my mouse? There it is. Okay, so we're down to 9 provisions. There we go. You set off eastwards, determined to find the source of the evil that has transformed so many of the forest inhabitants. Turn to 221. The forest is full of noises, the tramp of marching feet, the roars of animals. Armies are on the move. You keep under the cover of the undergrowth, as the paths across the forest are full of slave warriors. You see squads of humans, goblins, elves and dwarves, as well as other nameless creatures that the forest has hidden until now. All are blank-eyed, expressionless, mindless thralls, silent except for the sound of their footsteps and the weird cries of the scaly creatures that accompany them. They are marching to the west, towards Klein Castle and the rich settlements beyond. Your eastward path branches. You come out of the forest to read the signpost. One wooden arm points north and is inscribed Horfak and Derlin mines. The other points east, saying Cleaver mine and Throke mine. Which path will you take, north or east? Remember, we're looking for Horfak and Derlin, the two missing mine owners that Gloatin mentioned. So we want to turn to 356 to find them. 356. Gone too far. You are approaching the centre of the evil. Scurrying uphill between bushes and boulders, you hide from the bands of slave warriors who march past you, down into the forest. Some of the mind-enslaved humans are in an appalling condition, as thin as skeletons, their skin grey and flaking, their faces featureless except for dark, staring eyes. Many of these war parties include captured animals, huge reptilian creatures armed not only with teeth and claws, but also with spikes, horns, armoured plates of bone, and clubbed tails. You reach another large rock and peer over it. The path enters a compound which is surrounded by a high fence of pointed stakes. Above the fence and next to the gate stand 2 guards. Oh no, wait a minute, I missed a bit. Above the gate are the names Horfak and Derlin. Outside the fence and next to the gate stand 2 guards. You sit behind the rock to consider your next move. Do you have an egg in your backpack? If you do, turn to 272. If you do not, turn to 388. I think we do. Yep, we have an egg. I think that's from the Pteranodon. 272 then. Your backpack is moving. You look inside. The Pteranodon's egg is vibrating violently. You lift it and place it on the ground. Cracks appear on the shell. A beak appears, then the egg bursts apart, and a tiny Pteranodon stares up at you. It spreads its wings, hops up and down, and then opens its beak and lets out an ear-splitting screech. It is hungry. If you give it a meal from your provisions, turn to 112. If you have no provisions, or do not wish to waste any on a baby pterosaur, turn to 7. We are going to give some, so down to 8. We have loads of provisions. Okay, 112. You sit with your back against the rock and watch the baby Pteranodon as it gulps down one of your precious meals. It flaps its wings and settles on your knee to bask in the sunshine. You can tell by the tightening grip of its talons that it is growing stronger by the minute. You push it away and stand up to peer over the rock, but the Pteranodon has become quite attached to you, and it flutters up to perch on your shoulder. The 2 slave warrior guards are, or were, aged gnomes. They see the Pteranodon and begin to advance towards your hiding place. You prepare yourself for a fight, but the Pteranodon saves you the trouble. With a terrifying scream, it launches itself into the air and swoops towards the slave warriors, snapping at them with its beak and raking them with its talons. 2 old gnomes, even when armed with knives and controlled by the iron will of the warlord of the portal, are no match for a playful young Pteranodon. They retreat down the rocky hillside, pursued by the screeching pterosaur. The gate is left unguarded, and you walk through it. Restore 1 point of luck if you need to. Turn to 68. We don't need to. We haven't used any luck at all. 68. You are inside a semicircular palisade enclosing a flat area of dirt before the cliff that rises ahead of you. Scattered across the enclosure are derelict wooden sheds. A well-trodden track leads from the gate in the palisade to a hole in the face of the cliff. The hole is the entrance to the Horfak and Derlin mine workings, and also to the source of the slave warriors and the other weird creatures that have been terrorizing the forest inhabitants. As you watch from behind a hut, another group of scarecrow-like slave warriors shuffles out of the mine entrance and heads for the gates. With them is a glowering armoured beast with a low belly and a mountainous back crested with bony plates. When they have gone, you approach the dark hole. A torch flames in a bracket. You take it, and if you have a miner's helmet and a candle stub, you put on the helmet and light the built-in lamp, which we do. Then you enter the tunnels. The mine is disused and deserted. Some passages are blocked by fallen rocks. Only one trail looks well worn. You follow it deeper and deeper into the mountainside. It leads you finally to a rough hole at the end of a narrow tunnel. You step through into a natural cavern. In the centre of this cavern stand 3 huge blocks of black stone, one laid as a lintel across the other 2, to form a massive gateway. Turn to 397. I think we're at the portal. You have found the portal. You stare up at it, rooted to the spot by an overwhelming sense of alien evil. Every inch of the surface of all 3 black stone slabs is covered with intricate hieroglyphics that seem to writhe in the flickering light. You try to decipher them, although you recognize none of the symbols. Your mind is filled with appalling images. A darkness that is darker than the darkness of underground tunnels seems to hover around the edges of the megalithic slabs. You shudder as you feel the portal probing into your mind. Somehow you know that this monstrous gateway is old as the rock walls that have hidden it for eons, older by far than the humanoid races of Cool. You shake your head. You know you must try to destroy it. If you have a sack of igneolite, turn to 158. If not, turn to 289. We do have igneolite, so turn to 158. We need this igneolite, otherwise we can't complete the game. You take the small sack of powder from your backpack and approach the portal. You struggle against the evil emanation that pulses from the ancient stones, but you succeed in placing the igneolite at the base of one of the 2 upright megaliths. You are torn between a desire to destroy the portal as quickly as possible and a curiosity to know what lies beyond it. Will you thrust a flame into the top of the sack now? Turn to 332, or will you step into the shadow of the portal? Turn to 289. I think if you do it now, you lose the game. You shouldn't do it now. We need to destroy the warlord first, so we're going to step into the portal. Turn to 289. Yeah, don't burn the igneolite yet. We need it for later. You take a deep breath and step into the blackness between the towering uprights. Your previous mental torment was nothing compared to this. You are assailed by a malignant will that invades your mind, sweeping aside your flimsy objections and denials as it pursues your frantic spirit deeper and deeper into the recesses of your brain. Only the strongest of wills can survive the onslaught of the portal's coercive power. A ring of zombie warding will help. If you have one, turn to 96. If not, turn to 188. We do have one. 96. The silvery light from the ring on your finger is dim and flickering, but it is a thing of brightness and beauty that your mind clings to as you are engulfed in wave after wave of intimidating vileness. Roll 1 die 3 times. If the total is higher than your current stamina score, turn to 340. If the total is the same or lower, turn to 105. Okay, 1 die 3 times. It has to be less or the same. So let's do this now. Got the die. What's our stamina score, by the way? It's currently maximum, which is 15. So 1 die, not a tetrahedron. We want a cube. Thank you. Right. Okay, 1 die 3 times. Okay, we get a 3. Get a 4. That's a 7. And we get a 3. That's a 10. That's less than or equal to 15. So we turn to 105. Like a rock standing in the midst of gale-swept waves, your mind survives the portal's onslaught. The pulses of power finally ebb away. You are still free, but you have not yet felt the full force of the ancient evil. The portal has failed to turn you into a slave warrior. You are a reject, unfit for use in the warlord's army. Your mind is too strong to be overruled. Instead, the portal will transform your body. You find that you cannot move from the shadow under the portal. You are a prisoner, trapped by invisible walls. You do not know what to expect next. You lay out whatever possessions and equipment you may have in front of you. As you do so, you feel your flesh being touched. Invisible hands pluck at your body, squeeze and twist your limbs, as if gauging the amount of force required to alter your shape. You cry out in pain as the pressure increases. If you have 2 cage birds with you, turn to 302. If not, turn to 167. I forgot to mention, if if your score is greater than your stamina in the previous paragraph, you get turned into a slave warrior. Also here, if you don't have 2 gauge birds, you get turned into I think it's a giant scorpion, although I'm unsure. It's some sort of creature, and you lose the game. So you need the 2 birds. 302. In the midst of your agony, you hear a frantic twittering. In their cages on the floor by your feet, the 2 tiny birds are fluttering in panic. You realize that the shape-changing power of the portal is being dissipated, spread across 3 living beings. But the pressure on your body is increasing, and the pain is almost more than you can bear. You grit your teeth and knot your muscles, determined to hold your body's shape. Roll 1 die twice. If the total is higher than your current skill score, turn to 87. If the total is the same as or lower than your skill, turn to 133. Roll 1 die twice. Our skill score is 10, even though the initial is 12, or rather 11, rather. So we need 2 die rolls to be less than or equal to 10. So let's do this now. Okay, Okay, we get a 5 and we get a 3. That's 8. That was uncomfortably close. So that's less than the same as our skill. Turn to 133. Racked with pain, you stand rigid, every muscle clenched. I can't remember what happens if you get over that. Maybe you get turned into something, or maybe you just lose some stamina, I can't remember. Anyway, racked with pain, you stand rigid, every muscle clenched. The two tiny birds are unable to withstand the shape-changing power of the portal, and you see their bodies crumble into shapeless bundles and then expand again. And the one which had red feathers now has blue plumage, while the blue one is now red. This transformation exhausts the efforts of the invisible hands that grip your body. The pressure eases and then disappears. You have survived, but the portal will not let you go. It has failed to twist your mind or your body. Now it will try to obliterate you. Pulsating clouds of inky blackness, darker than the deepest unlighted abyss, collect around the lintel of the portal and begin to roll down towards you. Shadows creep towards you from both sides. You need light to keep the darkness at bay. How many lights do you have to burn? If you have only the one torch that you picked up at the mine entrance, turn to 12. If that happens, if you only have one, you're dead. If you can hold up two lights by adding an extra torch from your own equipment, or by wearing a miner's helmet with a lit candle stub in its lamp, as well as holding one torch, turn to 283. If you do that, you need luck, I think. But we have 3. If you have enough torches to hold one in each hand, as well as wearing a lit miner's helmet, 3 sources of light, turn to 307. We have the torch from the entrance, we have the miner's helmet, and the candle stub, and we also have some torches that we found in the village where we saw the Margrave's men. So we have 3 sources, 307. We have everything we need. Clouds of darkness close round you from all sides. Your lights seem as dim as distant stars seen through fog, but the darkness cannot quite quench them, cannot quite surround you with the absolute blackness of death. A coldness sits in the centre of your body and benumbs every sense. Visions of destruction and decay float before your eyes, but your lights remain aflame, and at last they begin to flicker a little more strongly. The shadows begin to retreat. You have survived the portal's final attack. Turn to 14. Here we go. There's the other side of the portal. That's what we see. The dark shadows recede, absorbed into the black stones of the portal. Your vision clears. You pick up your possessions and peer into the cavern, which is still deserted. Then you turn to look through the other side of the portal and gaze open-mouthed at an impossible scene. Before you stretches a sunlit wilderness, a vast panorama of marsh and jungle, plains and forest, with snow-capped mountains lining a distant horizon. Your mind cannot comprehend how all this can exist in the depths of a gold mine. And then you realize that the portal is a gateway to another world. This is not cool. The sky is a different blue, the sun a different yellow. Some of the monstrous animals you have seen before roaming the forest between the mines and Castle. This other world teems with them. Like mobile hills, armoured monsters lumber across the grasslands. Flocks of sharp-beaked creatures soar in the skies. Somewhere in this landscape lurks the warlord of the slave warriors. You step forward and look back. From this side, the portal is just a black cave mouth in a hillside. Hoping to return, you conceal your burning torch in a nearby rocky cleft. 3 paths lead away from the portal. You ignore the middle way, which is the widest and most used. Would you choose to go to the left through hilly country, or to the right into the jungle? We're going to go right into the jungle. 322. You enter the tangled vegetation of the jungle just in time. You can hear the sound of marching feet on the main path behind you. Surrounded by vast trees, many of them strange fern-headed cylinders of mossy wood, you marvel at the bizarre creatures that dart across your path, giant insects, spiked and horned reptiles, and some furry and hairy animals that resemble those of Cool. The path forks. The right branch leads to a collection of tumble-down stone buildings, the left branch leads up a hill from which the jungle plants have been cleared, and on top of which you can see a settlement of stone huts, surrounded by a stone wall. Will you take the right-hand path or the left-hand path? We're going to take the left-hand path, 140. Can't remember what's to the right, but we want the left one. You are standing on the edge of the jungle, about to start up the bare hillside towards the township of stone huts, when you are ambushed from right and left. A motley collection of warriors emerges from the vegetation. Some of them are goblins, others are dwarfs, elves, orcs, and remarkable hybrids of several races. Most are human or near human, but from very diverse peoples. One is tall and dark-skinned, another short and fair, a third is covered in hair like an ape. All of them have weapons and they are closing in. You have only a moment in which to decide, will you surrender or run? We're going to surrender. 49. You understand only a little of the language of this mixed tribe of warriors, but it is clear that you are their prisoner. They take you up the hill and into the walled village. Here you are locked inside a small stone hut. Soon a door is thrown open and a human woman enters. She speaks to you in an archaic dialect of your own tongue. Greetings, Otherworlder. My name is Witter. I will explain your situation. The gateway in the sacred cave used to be kind to us. Once every century or two, someone from Otherworld would find it and come to us. My grandfather was the most recent arrival, a Newburger by birth and a forester by trade. He found the gateway while exploring the caverns beneath the Cloud-Eye Mountains. We call ourselves the People. Here, all races are one tribe and live in peace, unlike the tribes of Otherworld. But since Horfak arrived, the gateway glows with evil. None but hordes of slave warriors enter our land through it, and Horfak orders the slave warriors to destroy our dwellings and make captives of us. I have more to tell, but first you must eat. I will fetch food. She leaves and forgets to lock the door. Will you wait for her to return, or will you make a dash through the door? We're going to wait for her. 360. Witter returns with a plate of food. If you want to eat it, you can restore up to 4 points of stamina if you need to. I don't need to. She continues her story. Horfak is unlike other men. The gateway in the sacred cave has changed him horribly. He is bigger and stronger than ordinary men, and his will controls the slave warriors. And ever since he arrived here, his face has been changing into ever more loathsome shapes. He has become mad. He has ordered all mirrors to be destroyed, as he cannot bear to see his own features, even accidentally. And he claims kingship of this world and over all the people. Our queen, Anxis, defied him. He has taken her captive. Now, at last, he has sent his armies out of our land, through the sacred cave. We are thankful, but I fear for the tribes of Otherworld. We are suspicious of you, because, since Horfak, nothing good has come through the gateway in the sacred cave. Tonight, however, you will be tested in your ordeal, and we will discover your worth. She picks up the plate and leaves. This time she remembers to lock the door. You have no choice but to wait in your prison. Turn to 110. Eventually the door of your prison opens and Witter escorts you out of the hut. It is evening and the streets are illuminated by flaring torches. You are taken to a large open space at the edge of the town. A tiled canopy supported on timber pillars extends from the battlements of the town wall and covers the entire area. All the townspeople are gathered under this roof, and they greet your appearance with a buzz of conversation. The people are a mixture of every type of humanoid you have encountered on call, as well as some that you have never seen before. Witter explains, the man with the scaly skin looking a bit like a lizard is the shaman of this town. The others, dressed like him in coloured robes and feathered headdresses, are shamans from the outlying towns and domains. They are waiting for you to begin the ordeal. You must stand against that wooden board. The warriors will throw weapons, testing their skill. With luck they will all miss you. If you flinch, you fail the ordeal. The heads of previous failures can be seen hanging from the rafters. If you keep still, you will have proved your bravery and will be accepted into the people. All eyes are on you as you lean back against the scarred surface of the board and await the thud of the first weapon. Test your luck. If you're lucky, turn to 85. If you are unlucky, turn to 233. Okay, we're going to test our luck. So we have to do that now. Remember, we need a roll equal to or less than 7, because that's our luck. Oh no, we need 2 dice, don't we? That's right, yeah. 9, so we're unlucky. So 233. Not exactly difficult to be unlucky there, really, because my luck is so terrible. Knives, hatchets, spears, and axes hurtle through the air towards you in succession and bury their blades in the wooden board against which you stand. The warriors of the people are not on their best form tonight. Among the shower of weapons that shave your skin and impair your clothing are some that strike too close, wounding you. Roll 1 die. The result of the die roll is the number of points of stamina you lose. If you're still alive, turn to 174, and if you rolled a 6, in which case, turn to 311. Okay, so we have to roll a die. And I think if we get a 6, we're dead. So let's hope we don't do that. Okay, so we don't want a 6. A 1. Right. 174 then. The last weapon parts your hair as it thuds into the wood above your head. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention we have to lose 1 stamina point, don't we? So, whoops. So we're down to 14 now. Anyway, the last weapon parts your hair as it thuds into the wood above your head. The ordeal is over, and you have not moved a muscle throughout it. The shaman gives a signal, and the crowd erupts into cheering. The warriors come to retrieve their weapons and shake your hand. You are carried on their shoulders to the seat of honor next to the shaman, and the townsfolk bring out plates and pots. Everyone joins in the feast to celebrate your success. Restore 1 point of luck if you need to, which we do, but I haven't actually taken a point away, so I forgot to do it, but it doesn't matter because it's come back, as well as up to 4 points of stamina. So let's put the stamina back to 15. Witter translates the shaman's after-dinner speech. Tomorrow, as is usual when the people accept a new warrior, there will be a ceremonial dinosaur hunt in which you are to strike the death blow. After that, the warriors of the people will march against the hated warlord Horfak, who is vulnerable at last, having sent most of his slave warriors back to call through the sacred cave. At midnight, the shaman administers the ceremonial and rather painful tattoo. The sign of the spear on your forehead shows that you are now a warrior of the people. I'll just write that down. So we have the tattoo. I wonder if everyone had to go through that just to get to be a member of the tribe. At last, Witter shows you to your new home, which is a stone hut like your earlier prison, but now you have the door key. Will you sleep and wait for the dinosaur hunt, or will you try to slip away from the town under cover of night? We're going to sleep and wait for the dinosaur hunt. 350. I think that says 350, yeah it does. Okay, one more paragraph then I'll end the video and we'll complete the game in the next video. 350. You awake at dawn, roused by the shouts of your fellow warriors as they prepare for the dinosaur hunt. Out on the streets you find young townsfolk, men, women and all the other races that make up the mixed tribe of the people, sharpening their weapons, daubing their faces with war paint, and adorning their hair and clothes with multicoloured ribbons and feathers. Soon you are part of the exuberant procession that leaves the town, descending the hill and skirting the jungle, and that then marches out across the open grasslands in search of a dinosaur. Dinosaurs are not hard to find. The scouts are soon scurrying back to the main hunting party to report that they have spotted a suitably challenging target. You are brought to the front of the column to look it over. It is a triceratops. Each of its 4 legs is as tall as a man, and its head is equally long. Standing guard over a clutch of its eggs, the huge horned herbivore is the size of a small house. The warriors indicate that you must advance to fight it alone. Would you do so, or would you challenge the customs of the people by refusing to attack the dinosaur? Okay, we'll decide what to do in the next video. Thank you for watching, and I'll complete the game in the next video. Bye bye.